Hey everyone, it's Steven with Sandy Lake Woodworks. So last year I was inspired by a bunch of other woodworkers on YouTube and wanted to try my hand at a Bandsaw Reindeer. I wanted to try and do something a little bit more uniquely my own though. So after a bit of tinkering, I was able to come up with a design for this Bandsaw Reindeer. Unfortunately, this particular design had a major flaw. The antlers were extremely fragile, and I think I broke just about as many as I actually created. So this year, after a bit more tinkering, I was able to correct all the issues that I had with my old design and create this new version of the template. So today I'm going to be walking you through how I created this Bandsaw Reindeer, and if you would like to try it yourself, I'll have a link to the template down in the description below. So the first thing you're going to want to do is get your blank ready. I designed this template to work with a standard 2x4, so 3.5 inches wide, 1.5 inches deep, and then you're going to want to cut it at 4.25 inches tall. So while it does work with a standard 2x4, the rounded edges, you almost never get a flat surface here. I don't really like that, so I like to start with a 2x6 and then cut it down. That gives me a nice flat surface, 90-degree corner here, and then nice sharp corners to help align the template with. So when you have your block of wood, you know, just take your template and put use a glue stick to get some glue on the back of the template here. Doesn't need to be pretty. Then align it with the corner of your block of wood, press it in place. And just let that dry for a minute. So to explain this template a little bit, the circles that you see here on the template, those indicate the size of a drill bit that you would need if you wanted to drill out through that particular section to clear out any of the wood before you take it to the bandsaw. And the 5/8 inch here, that's not so important. I've done this tons of times without ever using the drill. Some of these smaller circles though, like the 1/4 inch hoe, it does make it a little bit easier to get into some of those spaces. And then on the back of the template here, you have another circle kind of in between the top of the antlers and down here at the bottom of the legs. And then to explain this section here at the back of the template, you've got 2 arches here. This bottom arch indicates a straight line directly through the template all the way to the front. But this top one here, this is showing that if you wanted to match that line, that slant in the bottom of the body, then you would want to center your drill bit right there, and you'd have to tilt your template up by this 7.5 degrees when you're drilling down through. So like I said, this is completely optional. I've done it tons of times without doing that, but it does make life a little bit easier. Here I'm using a little jig that I created that props the block of wood up at that 7.5 degree angle I talked about. Okay, so at this point I've got the holes drilled out here in the back and a couple holes drilled out through the front. And so here now we're ready to take it to the bandsaw. So the first thing we're going to want to do is cut out the long side. So place the block on its side, and we're just going to cut out all these places around the main template.
Lots of toys, all for the little ones' Christmas joys. Ho, 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 who wouldn't go? Ho, ho, ho,
So at this point in the process, you've cut out the two halves of the outsides of the template. You want to try and keep these pieces intact as much as possible, because the next step that you want to do is put them back onto your blank and use a piece of tape to put it all back together into one giant block. So taping it all back together just helps it give more support as you're trying to cut the front end out.
Jolly old Saint Nicholas, lean your ear this way. Don't you tell a single soul what I'm going to say. Christmas Eve is coming soon. Now, you dear old man, whisper what you bring to me. Tell me if you can. When the clock is striking 12, when I'm fast asleep, down the chimney broad and black, with your pack you'll creep. All the stockings you will find hanging in a row. Mine will be the shortest one, you'll be sure to know. Johnny wants a pair of skates, Susie wants a sled, Nellie wants a storybook, one she hasn't read. Now I think I'll leave to you what to give a rest. Choose for me, dear Santa Claus, what you think is best.
Okay, so at this point, after you've cut everything out, once you remove the sides that you had taped on the side, what you're left with is almost close to the finished reindeer. This design just leaves a few more little things that you need to do after you finish cutting everything out of the bandsaw. The first thing is getting rid of his little mutton chops here. So we'll do that next. Okay, so like I said, this template leaves a little bit that needs to be carved off that's outside of the bandsaw. And I usually just like to use a little chip knife for that. And so I'll come inside here and just slowly cut away at the extra wood that's there. You can do this with plenty of other plenty of other ways though. You can just use sandpaper, you can use a chisel. If you use whatever other tool you feel like you want to. But just try to clean that up as best you can. Try to create the look of a face there on the front. Then if you wanted to stop right there, you totally could. Another thing I usually like to do with the piece that I had here for the tail, a lot of times I'll either use the chip knife to cut that down and kind of shape a little deer tail in the back, or I'll just take care of that during the sanding stage. And so that's going to be the next step, is doing all the sanding. Okay, so for sanding, I like to use a Dremel tool with an extension on it. And I've got a couple of different bits that I'll use for sanding. I'll use a small 1/4 inch diameter sanding drum for getting into some of the tight spots. And then I've got this wheel here that has the flat pieces on it, and I'll use that for cleaning up most of the flat pieces. So just go around here, clean up any of your edges, clean up underneath the legs, and hit any spots that you feel like it needs it. And there you have it. That is version 3 of my Bandsaw Reindeer. Thanks for watching.